with LeBron, which is more likely, by the way. He gets shipped to the Bucks for Giannis in the next 30 hours plus, or he finds a way to team up with LeBron before he retires. If you got to guess, Boog, what are you saying?
Me personally, I don't think they're able to make this move for Giannis.
You don't?
Me personally, I mean,
Okay.
I look at the trade package that they're offering, and if I'm Milwaukee, I'm not really biting on that. I mean, you get a return of Pods, you get Kuminga, who they've basically destroyed his value. I mean, it's just not really a favorable package. So, me personally, I think this is all, just in case it does happen. This is how I feel, but I don't really see it happening. So
LeBron, he might play with LeBron then.
I can see him, at some point in his career trying to team up with LeBron. I mean, but
they don't have a lot of time left.
Yeah, I don't see this trade happening for the Warriors with what they have to offer.
Okay. Hey, you know what? Sam Amick will be on in a little bit, because there was the sound that came out between both Draymond and Steve Kerr yesterday. I thought it was like they were reminiscing about good times, as if something's already been sort of dealt behind the scenes. And Steve Kerr also said that someday Draymond Green will have a statue outside the building. For those of us who think he's been a dirty player sometimes, there are a lot of cool options for that statue. That being said, Lou, does that mean Steph and Clay automatics too, right?
Absolutely. And I think Steph Curry is going to be the first person in NBA history to have two statues outside of an arena, because I think you put up a statue with the three of those guys because they've made a ton of history as a collective, and Steph Curry, being the global superstar that he is, deserves one as an individual as well. I'm making that case for him right here, right now. I think he's the first person in NBA history to get two separate statues outside of an arena.
So wait, so you're saying one is like a trio?
One is a trio.
And then one's him alone.
Yeah, I don't see them doing three individual statues for those guys. I think you do one to memorialize all of those guys and what they've been able to do for the Golden State Warriors, being four-time champions. They did that as a group. They did that as a unit. And I think Steph Curry on his own, what he's been able to do, how he changed basketball and how kids around the world and even the league plays basketball at this point, he deserves two as well. So I can see that happening for sure.
I can see the Clay and Steph statues. I can visualize them. What position pose are we doing with
Dre out.
but what's he doing? Let's pick one. We've got options. We've got stomps. We've got punches. We've got chokes. Which one are you? If it was you, come on. I think it could be fun.
If it was me, I got Dre with the ball, waving somebody down to go set a pin down screen for Steph Curry because he's running the offense most of the time. That's my pick.
No, I don't like that's boring. I know. What else?
You want to kick.
Yeah, I chose violence today, guys. Let's
Nothing wrong with it.
Do coaches get statues?
Do what? Coaches get statues? Well, Red Auerbach's on the Coach of the Year trophy. I just learned that recently, by the way.
I don't think so, but
you don't think so?
I don't think so. But what you trying to get at?
Well, Pop gets one if they're doing Coach.
I mean, I was just asking, do coach? I mean, because when we think about this
do
group,
you think Steve Kerr should get a statue?
Hell yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
That's why I'm asking.
Is he in the trio statue or he gets his own?
Yeah.
Because this is turning into a
we talked about the trio, and I mean, when I think about this group, I think of Steve Kerr as well.
We're talking a lot of statues, y'all.
So many statues.
We got
talking a lot of championships.
It's actually a good, If you put the trio in one statue, then you can put Steve Kerr.
I don't think coaches really get statues.
Yeah, that's really why I was asking.
I can't think of one. So
right.
No one's telling.
He deserves one, but I don't think that's a thing.
Does
for
KD
coaches.
get one there?
I think so. 2 times.
So is he in his
Finals
own
MVP?
statue? Like, come on.
I think the group gets. I think all.
So that whole team.
Yes, I think KD, Draymond, Steph, and Clay all get a statue, and I was wondering if Steve is a part of that. I don't know.
I think the big three get statues, and I think all 5 of those guys' names go up in the rafters.
Oh, that's without a doubt.
Yeah, that's for real.
Yeah, but statues is a different.
So 2 Finals MVPs for a team don't get you a statue?
I'm not saying he's not deserving it. I'm only making a case for the statues because I feel like the guys that were there, the guys that were drafted
He was there.
And the guys that were drafted there. And
I kind of get what you're saying, Lou.
It's
I feel
it's
you.
very rare for the guys that you go out and draft that you bring you back for a championship.
I agree.
Which is why
So for that,
Draymond.
I think those are the guys that get statues. But KD, that 35 definitely goes up.
Yeah, because I believe, unless I'm wrong, Steph and Draymond are the two longest tenured same team dudes active right now in the league, and that was partly what he was talking about yesterday, which made me feel like he knows he's being traded. I'm telling you, there was something in the way he answered these questions yesterday that
And
I
it's
was
not
like,
I love the
Or it
fact.
could just be the end because they know they can't make a move.
Yeah, and I love the fact that everybody is at peace with whatever happens.
That's what was really cool about it.
How
they've
can
made
you
their
not
history
be
of it.
with as
They've made
much,
their history
you know,
of
as
it.
much accomplishments that you've had? I mean, how can you not be?
They've made their history.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. All right, slam dunk contest. We officially have an all-star. Jock Landale, John Conchar, Vince Williams Jr. Welcome to the Jazz. The Grizzlies get Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Georgie Yang, Taylor Hendricks, and 3 future first-round picks. Georgie Yang he must just keep his stuff in a bag. Lou, let me ask you this. Your initial reactions when you saw this?
Really good for Utah.
Okay.
Really good for Utah. You got to think, this season we've been having so many different conversations about Lauri Markkanen being in trade talks and him being moved. Instead, they brought in pieces to fit around him, and that makes Utah Jazz look good for the future. You know, I would love to see this new lineup that they have with George, with the young fella Bailey. Also with Lauri, you putting Lauri at the 3, that's a huge lineup, and now you're adding Jaren Jackson, also with Kessler. It just gives them a lot of size, gives them depth now, and it gives them youth. I think that's a lot of positives for the Utah Jazz, and so I was excited to see that they were able to put these pieces together for the near future.
I agree. Really excited with what the Jazz did with this move. Like you said, they put a group of young talent together that I think makes a lot of noise in the West next season. They're versatile, they're tall, they have length. They have an up-and-coming superstar in Keontae George, who's the head of the Snake. So I like the moves that were done with the Utah Jazz. As far as Memphis, they did get a pretty decent return back with, 3 first-round picks, some young talent in Walter Clayton.
Yep.
So, it's a pretty even trade for both sides. I think, both sides left happy. But I'm really excited to see what happens with this Jazz group.
I feel like the shock of it, too, is that we're waiting on John Morant, and then it was Jaren Jackson Jr.'s name that
Right.
popped up on our phones.
Well, we got time.
Yeah, we do. What, 30-ish hours?
Got time.
Here's what's crazy, and this will be like a future trivia question at some point, but Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bane, 7 first-round picks is what they got back for those two guys. Luka and Trae Young got back a combined total of 1 first-round pick. Now, I get it. Buyers, they can do whatever you want. The value is what they've decided, but that's crazy to say out loud, Boogie.
It's very crazy. And, you think about the Bane deal and how many picks were involved. You think about Jaren Jackson, how many, the 3 picks involved in his deal. And you can't help to think about a guy like Giannis, whose name is, the headline of this deadline. But, if Jaren Jackson is demanding 3, what's a package for Giannis gonna demand? You know what I mean?
I think we got to throw conventional thinking out of the window at this point.
I guess
Yeah.
we do, because it doesn't make sense.
It's so
to
up
say
and
that.
down. Like
Yeah, it's so
hard
up
to
and down.
determine value at this point.
But Beetle makes a great point. It's up to the buyer. Whatever you feel is valuable to you and how much you're willing to pay for it. Some people will pay $1 for the same thing another person will pay $100 for, and that's been the situation. So if teams are out there looking, you want you got a pretty big price tag on Giannis, but if you're the Memphis Grizzlies, you're looking at it like, now I can play ball and I can move some things around without it being an issue as well. So, like we all said, it's up to whoever is buying and how much value they want for it. But I'm curious to see what packages teams are going to put together for Giannis or for Ja Morant, 2 guys that are still out there in trade talks right now.
Here's what I think is kind of crazy, because it was not really that long ago where we looked at Memphis as like, this is the young, fun team.
Yep.
They've got a great core. All the guys, Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bane, all those guys that were there at the same time. And now all of that's basically been dismantled. Look, some of us don't love front offices as much. Some of us are a little confused at what they're doing sometimes. I'm definitely one of them, Lou. But this feels like, what happened? What happened to what this was supposed to be?
You can make a case for it was a mismanagement. You can make that case. Very, very shortly ago, Ja Morant was saying I'm good in the West. he felt confident about the group that he had. And I think the first big block to go was Dylan Brooks.
Yep.
We've been very vocal about that on running back. I think they undervalue what Dylan Brooks brought to the table. He was the heart and soul of that group. He was the locker room guy. He was their muscle. He was their defender. He was all of these different things for the Memphis Grizzlies, and I don't think they realized how valuable he was. And he was the first building block to get knocked over. And now, as you can see, Ja Morant he's the last guy left, and we don't even know if he's going to be left by the end of this week. So, definitely a mismanagement. I like those 5 guys together. But again, once you let the heart and soul of a group go, you're going to start seeing the results of that. And I think Memphis is no different at this point.
I couldn't agree more. It started with Dylan Brooks, the guy that, helped create that culture there. And, one thing I've been adamant about saying, when it comes to these organizations putting teams together, they'll go and find their franchise guy, the guy with the most talent, the so-called best player on the team. And they automatically label that guy as the leader of the team, and that's not necessarily how it works. Just because you're the best player does not mean you're the leader of the team.
Right.
The leader of that young Memphis group was Dylan Brooks, and once they let him go, the domino effect started after that. So we're now in the last days of it, and we see how it turned out for this Memphis group. I think they totally overreacted in the year that. And it was weird how they did Dylan Brooks. Before the season was even over.
Yeah,
before the season was even over, they were saying, we don't want him back. And I always thought that was a weird situation. So I do think they overreacted. I do think they mismanaged that situation. And like I said, we're now living in the present day of those results.
The Dylan Brooks chapter of the NBA will be studied one day.
Oh, yeah.
Why did so many people not see what we're all seeing now?
He was a glue piece.
Very interesting.
Yeah, he was a glue piece. And once you get rid of a guy like that, like just the intangible things that we've talked about, the same things that we're praising him for now, Memphis had that and you get rid of it.
Yeah.
And it literally fell apart